Good morning, students. Today we are going to talk about a very important topic of communication and networking, that is IP address classes. In last few sessions, we have been talking about transport layer and the network layer and the two most important protocols that go hand in hand together, that is TCP protocol and the IP protocol. Now, once we are clear with the working of an IP protocol, we are very clear that what does IP protocol means. That is, IP protocol is a network routing protocol, which is basically responsible for the routing of data packets from the source to destination. Now, we have also seen in the last lecture that IP is also known as best effort delivery protocol, since it is an unreliable protocol. Okay, but here we one thing is to be made clear to us ki how does it works. Okay, how does it functions. कैसे IP protocol एक पैकेट को सोर्स से डेस्टिनेशन तक ले जाता है. So there comes the role of IP addressing. The means that some kind of an identification number is assigned to all the hosts and the servers present over the network, the sending node and the receiving node. जब तक हमारे पास एड्रेसिंग सिस्टम नहीं होगा तो कम्युनिकेशन कभी नहीं हो सकता. सबसे सिंपल एग्जांपल है, अगर मुझे किसी से बात करनी है, some of my friend or some of my acquaintance, I need to have his or her phone number or a mobile number these days. If I want to have a telephonic conversation, if I want to have a written conversation, I should know his or her email ID or postal address to which I can post my mail or my letter, respectively. So the like let's say the email ID, the mobile number, the landline number, the house number, the postal address, ये सब क्या है? They are the identification links to a particular host. So same way as a destination host has its identification links attached to them, so as the source also. Because in communication, it is never one way. When I send a request, I expect a response also. When I send a message, I expect a response from the receiving side also. So how that receiving side is going to send me the response if that receiving side will not have my link address? Okay, so that addressing system is maintained and managed by this IP protocol. So IP addressing, apart from IP routing, is the major task or the role played by an IP protocol. That is Internet Protocol of the network layer. So this session of mine is dedicated to the introduction of IP addresses. No matter types of address classes involved, I'll be talking in my live sessions with the students. So let's have an intro of what is IP addressing. We can say that what is an IP address, as you can see on your screens. An IP address is a numerical label assigned to the devices are connected to a computer network that uses IP for communication. IP address acts as an identifier, as I said. It is an identification link for a specific machine on a particular network. It also helps you to develop a virtual connection between a destination and a source. The IP address is also called as IP number or internet address. It helps you to specify the technical format of the addressing and packet scheme. Most networks combine TCP with IP. This we have talked many a times. Now further, an IP address consists of 4 numbers. This is to be remembered. कोई भी IP address 4 हिस्सों में divided होता है. Okay. Each number contains 1 to 3 digits. अगर हम decimal format की बात करें तो 1 से 3 digit तक के नंबर होते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि IP address is of 4 bytes. 1 byte dot, second byte dot, third byte dot and the fourth byte. तो 4 byte. 4 byte का मतलब हुआ 8 bits का एक byte होता है, तो 8 4s are 32 bits is the size of an IP address. Okay. Now when I talk about 8 bits, पहले byte की अगर हम बात करें तो all zeros if put together in 8 bits makes 0 in decimal, and 8 times 1 if I write, so that makes up 255, rather 256. Okay, 255. So 0 से 255 is the range of an Any byte of an IP address with a single dot in between separates each number or set of digits. So each IP address in IPv4 scheme, V4 means version 4, is made up of 32 bits. I said this. 4 byte means 8 fours are 32 bits is the size of an IP address. The IP address is divided into 4 sections, as I said, which means each section of IP address consisting of 8 bits. And these 8 bits are known as octets. So, इसीलिए IP address आप देख सकते हो ना, first octet, second octet, third octet and fourth octet. क्वाड ऑफ ऑक्टेट्स कहलाता है आईपी एड्रेस. क्वाड मींस 4 हिस्से और हर हिस्सा 8 बिट्स का, तो 8 का ऑक्टेट हो गया. और क्वाड इज फॉर 4 पार्ट्स. तो क्वाड ऑफ ऑक्टेट्स इज अनदर टर्म यूज्ड फॉर आईपी एड्रेसिंग स्कीम. The first octet referred here is the leftmost of all. The octets numbered as following depicted the dotted decimal notation of IP address. अगर आप 1 1 and 6 times zeros लिखें, तो अगर आप इसको कन्वर्ट करें नंबर कन्वर्जन मेथड से बाइनरी टू डेसिमल, ये आएगा 192. 10101000, इसको आप कन्वर्ट करोगे तो ये आएगा 168. और ये अगर 0001, ये 1 हमें सबको पता है. 100111100, ये कन्वर्ट करोगे तो 152. तो आप जनरली मशीन्स पे देखते होंगे 192.168.1.152 लिखकर आता है, तो ये आईपी एड्रेस है. This is easy for us to remember. But computer, as we all know, is a digital machine. It understands the language of zeros and one. So, जो भी हम 192.168.1.152 फॉर्मेट में लिखते हैं, it is being converted at the time of addressing or routing into this binary format. Okay, so computer identifies these machines over the network in this format of addressing scheme. So that is why it is known as quad of octets. There are 4 octets used. Further also, I've given you another example. For instance, take the case of this addressing IP address. अगर हम ये वाला IP address ले, so again it is divided into 4 parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. अभी हम नाम नहीं ले रहे, अभी इसके नाम भी हैं, which we'll talk about in a later half. So when we convert each part, that is 8-bit segments, 240 को आप binary conversion लगाइए, decimal to binary, आपको ये figure मिलेगा. इसी तरह 145 will be converted into this figure, 249 will be converted into this figure, and 76 will be converted into this figure. So ये चारों separated by 4 dots, 3 dots rather, will be your IP address. So on the internet, there could be multiple networks, and a network can also have so many hosts. A global 2-dimensional 32-bit IP address is divided into 2 sections. Uniquely define each host on the internet, your network and your computer or host. तो मतलब ये जो 4 ऑक्टेट है, मैंने क्या बोला, ये 4 हिस्से हैं, मगर किसके, इनके नाम भी हैं. अलग अलग एड्रेसिंग क्लास में अलग अलग तरह से ये डिवाइडेड है. मोटे तौर पे आप ये समझिए ब्रॉड टर्म्स में कि 2 चीजें ये डिपेक्ट करते हैं, एक तो नेटवर्क आईडी और एक होस्ट आईडी. ओके, सो योर नेटवर्क एड्रेस एंड योर होस्ट एड्रेस इनटू दैट नेटवर्क. सो इन अदर वर्ड्स, द फर्स्ट एलिमेंट ऑफ द एड्रेस इज द नेटवर्क आईडी, इन शॉर्ट नेट आईडी जिसको बोलते हैं, एंड अदर एलिमेंट इज होस्ट आईडी, इन शॉर्ट होस्ट आईडी. So IP address, as you can identify, it is made up of 2 things, the network ID and the host ID. मैं पहला दूसरा नहीं बोल रही, क्योंकि अलग अलग एड्रेसिंग स्कीम में आप पाएंगे कि कहीं पे 3 नेटवर्क आईडी 1 होस्ट आईडी है, कहीं पे 2 नेटवर्क आईडी 2 होस्ट आईडी बनते हैं, कहीं 1 नेटवर्क आईडी 3 होस्ट आईडी बनते हैं. तो दैट डिपेंड्स इन डिफरेंट एड्रेस क्लासिंग स्कीम दैट वी विल बी फॉलोइंग. नाउ नेक्स्ट, an IP address format is usually divided into 2 parts, the network ID to uniquely identify the network to which the host belongs, and the host ID to uniquely identify the host in a particular network. So this is like 2 hosts in the same network have the same network ID but different host ID. The number of networks and the number of hosts per class can be derived from the formula. Number of networks depends on 2 to raise to the power of network bits कितने आप use कर रहे हो, और number of hosts per network 2 to the power of number of host bits that you are using. अभी ये हम next class में जब आपको clear करेंगे ABCD तब बताएंगे. When calculating host IP address, 2 IP addresses are decreased because they cannot be assigned to host. That is, first IP of a network and is a network number, and the last IP is reserved for broadcast IP. तो ये also we'll discuss individually. Abhi, without going into detailing of ABCD classes, as you can see, I'd like to show you this figure. ये summary है of different address classing scheme that we are using. You can see address class A अगर हम use करेंगे तो इसमें how many network ID? One first bit, first byte is a network ID byte and 3 bytes are of host ID. तो आप देख सकते हैं कि per network number of host is very large in class address class A. Address class B में balance है first 2 bytes, first two parts, part 1 and part 2, they are network IDs, and part 3 and part 4 are host IDs. Address class C में you can see A, B and C, that is third 3 parts, network ID, network ID, network ID, and last वाला केवल होता है host ID, right? और क्लास डी में यू कैन सी ये मल्टीकास्ट कास्टिंग में यूज होता है और क्लास ई इज अभी स्टिल अंडर रिसर्च वर्क ओके रिजर्व्ड एंड एक्सपेरिमेंटल लिखा हुआ है कि मींस अभी ये यूज नहीं हो रहा तो मोस्टली व्हाट वी आर यूजिंग इज क्लास सी एड्रेसिंग स्कीम इन लार्ज स्मॉल नेटवर्क्स जिसमें नंबर ऑफ होस्ट आर लिमिटेड जिसमें नंबर ऑफ होस्ट आर अनलिमिटेड तो ये इंटरनेट में बेसिकली यूज होता है ओके दैट मींस यू कैन से कि एक नेटवर्क है और उसमें बहुत सारे होस्ट हैं लार्जर नेटवर्क्स यू यूज एड्रेस क्लास A. So I'll end my session over here on this summary note and the detailing of all these address classes as you can see we'll be talking about in our live sessions. So that's all for today. Thank you.